Hey warriors, there's a quiet moment many men face after 50 that no one prepares you for. The phone doesn't ring like it used to, rooms feel larger, conversations shorter, and you start wondering when you became invisible, not unwanted, just unseen. If that question has crossed your mind, stay with me, because this isn't a failure, it's a transition. And Stoicism explains exactly why this stage feels so heavy and how it can become one of the strongest chapters of your life. Loneliness after 50 isn't loud. It doesn't announce itself. It creeps in slowly through routines that no longer need you, relationships that changed without a conversation, and roles you once filled that quietly disappeared. For years, your identity may have been tied to being needed at work, in family, in solving problems, in showing up for others. Then one day the demand fades, and when purpose fades, silence feels like rejection. But the Stoics would tell you something important. This loneliness isn't proof that you lost value. It's proof that your value is no longer external. Marcus Aurelius wrote in Meditations, "Do not feel aggrieved if you are not praised. It is not your business to be seen, but to be good." He wasn't speaking from comfort. He was an emperor surrounded by people, yet deeply alone. He understood that visibility and meaning are not the same thing. When the world stops clapping, it forces you to hear your own thoughts. And that's where most men struggle, not because they're weak, but because they were never taught how to stand alone without feeling abandoned. Buns after 50, social circles shrink, friends drift, some pass away, others retreat into their own lives. This isn't personal, it's natural. Seneca warned about this long before modern life, writing in letters to Lucilius that friendships based on convenience fade when circumstances change. What you're feeling isn't rejection, it's reality, stripping away what was temporary so what's essential can finally surface. Stoicism teaches that loneliness appears when identity depends on roles instead of character. When you're no longer the provider, the fixer, the center of activity, the mind asks a dangerous question: who am I now? Epictetus addressed this directly in the Discourses when he said, "If you seek contentment in things outside your control, you will never be free." People, attention, relevance, approval, none of these were ever meant to carry your sense of self. They were borrowed anchors, and now they've been removed. Here's the part most people miss. This phase isn't punishment, it's training. Solitude is not abandonment in Stoicism, it's refinement. Marcus Aurelius didn't escape loneliness, he used it. His journal wasn't written to inspire others, it was written to keep himself steady in isolation. He turned silence into a workshop for the mind. That's the invitation life is offering you now. Monda, feeling alone after 50 often means you've outgrown noise. You no longer tolerate shallow connections, constant drama, or relationships built on utility. That narrowing feels like loss at first, but it's actually discernment forming. Seneca wrote, "Associate with those who will make you better." As we age, that includes learning when to associate with no one at all, long enough to hear who you are without interference. Dunned Stoicism doesn't promise companionship on demand, it promises self-sufficiency of spirit. Epictetus reminded his students that a man who can sit with himself without discomfort is unconquerable. Loneliness only hurts when you treat it as evidence of failure instead of space for reconstruction. This is where many men either collapse inward or quietly sharpen themselves. There's also a hard truth here. Modern life teaches men to measure worth by usefulness. When usefulness declines, self-respect often follows. Stoicism cuts through that illusion. Your worth was never transactional. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one, not be admired. Not be needed, be one." That standard doesn't expire with age. If you feel invisible, it may be because you're no longer performing. That's not decay, that's freedom beginning. When fewer people are watching, You gain the rare opportunity to act without approval, to think without interruption, to choose without explanation. This is where quiet strength is built. Not the loud confidence of youth, but the grounded confidence of someone who knows themselves. Talmudic Stoicism also teaches that loneliness sharpens judgment. Without constant social noise, you see patterns more clearly. You notice which habits numb you and which build you. You realize how much energy you once spent managing perceptions instead of cultivating peace. This awareness is uncomfortable, but it's powerful. Seneca wrote that adversity reveals character, and solitude is a form of adversity that exposes truth. So what do you do with this season? You don't chase attention. You don't beg for connection. You don't rush to fill the silence. You use it. You build routines that strengthen the body and steady the mind. You choose fewer words and deeper actions. You become selective, not bitter, present, not withdrawn, calm, not closed. But loneliness after 50 is often the final stripping away before clarity. It's the moment life stops distracting you and starts asking something real of you. Who are you when no one is watching? What do you stand for when applause disappears? Stoicism says this is where real dignity forms. Marcus Aurelius faced betrayal, loss, and isolation at the height of power. Yet he wrote, "Nowhere can a man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul." That isn't poetic comfort, it's instruction. The refuge you're looking for isn't outside you, and it never was. Blians. If this message felt uncomfortably accurate, that's a sign you're not broken, you're becoming aware. This stage doesn't mean life is closing, it means it's narrowing toward what matters. And that's not loneliness, that's focus. If you want guidance that respects your intelligence and your experience, subscribe to Stoicism Forge. We don't promise noise, hype, or easy answers. We focus on clarity, discipline, and quiet strength. And if you're willing, leave a comment saying, "I'm still standing." Not for anyone else, but as a reminder to yourself that this chapter is not the end, it's the forge.